It's officially that time of the year, and by that time of the year, I mean summer is starting. Maybe not officially, because we do all know Miss Summer Solstice. We know her and we love her, but she's not here yet technically. But I feel like spiritually and socially, summer has started. If you're in the book space like me, and I'm sure honestly almost every single person that's watching this video, summer TBRs are being made, right? Last year I made this beautiful spring TBR. Even though it's more than a year old, I highly recommend you go check it out because I did a great job on that video where I did a spring TBR in the form of mood board. So I said different reading moods I would be in since I am a mood reader, and I chose a few different books from those mood boards. I made like literal Pinterest mood boards. It was great. Highly recommend. I am not doing that this time, even though I really did consider it because I loved making that video. And I think it's a really great idea in general if you're a mood reader to kind of just identify the different moods you might be in. But I'm not doing that because I have been introduced to the idea of a personal curriculum. I feel like maybe if you're in the like journaling, reading, planning space, you've probably heard of it. But maybe if you're outside of those spaces, maybe you haven't. But if you're like at the intersection of those things, I feel like you know what a personal curriculum is. It's kind of exactly what it sounds like. Some people get really strict with it where they're literally making like a school curriculum for themselves. I'm not doing that, but that is like the original purpose of a curriculum. It's kind of like, oh, I'm not like learning anything anymore because I'm not in school. I'm not having a curriculum made for me. So I'm going to make one for myself so I can continue to learn. Mine is a little less about that. Mine is a little bit less about learning, a little bit more about fun, and also kind of exploring ideas that I am interested in. I watched a couple different videos from some people here on YouTube that I will definitely link down below. One is how to create your personal curriculum on easy mode, anti-brain rot TikTok trend, from Mia's Digital Diary. This is like the first video that comes up if you search personal curriculum. Very well made video. And then I found a channel called Mind Body Mel. She makes really great content. She's kind of at that intersection that I mentioned, like the planning, reading, journaling intersection. And she actually does, I think, monthly curriculums. I did love the way that she kind of broke down her curriculums. Hers are obviously going to be, I mean, mine is not that big, but hers are smaller in general since she does take them month by month, and I'm doing mine seasonally. She chooses a topic and she will basically pick out what she's going to read and watch and I think listen to. I'm doing read, watch, listen. That just made the most sense for me within those topics that she chooses for herself. I'm not doing it exactly like her as well, just because I think the most important thing for something like this is to not do what everyone else is doing. Not that like you can't, like you can definitely see someone that you like and kind of, you know, make it your own thing. For me personally, if there's some sort of like motivation, discipline in that realm, I need to make it completely my own. I'm immediately gonna put less pressure on it. Anyway, you either know exactly what I'm talking about or you have no clue what I'm saying right now. And that's totally okay because I'm doing a bad job at explaining it, but we will figure this out together. So like I said, I'm not necessarily choosing one specific thing from anyone, and I'm doing it in a way that makes sense to me. So let's go ahead and get into it. And I can really tell you how I have formatted this and what are the things that I do want to like focus on this summer. If you're worried, there's definitely a TBR in this list. Of course there is. I only have like 2 or 3 topics, but every topic that I have is going to have a book, of course. And then we also just have some books that I want to read. So if you're here for the book content, trust me, this video has it. When I was doing my research, like I said, I watched a couple videos. That video and that creator were the ones that like really specifically remember watching, but I think there was another one. Unfortunately, I cannot remember what video it was or where I heard it. And that's basically dividing it into 2 separate categories. So one is things that I love learning about, and the second is things that I want to do more of. The things that I love learning about section, I definitely took a lot of inspiration from Mind Body Mel there. And then the things that I want to do more of, it's almost a little bit more like a bucket list. I am technically planning on having like a separate summer bucket list, but that is like a bit more fun. This one's more like things that I want to focus on in the name of like learning more or like growing my artistic practice. Not that I really have an artistic practice now, but you'll definitely see that that is like a general theme in this curriculum. A little journal spread that is not finished, and I don't really feel comfortable like really showing you guys. Like when I'm done, maybe I'll do some little b-roll shots, but I'm not really at a point where I feel comfortable actually making the spread for you on camera. I am very like go with the flow when it comes to journal spreads, which I feel like is the best way to not be perfectionist. Let's go ahead and start with the first section, which is things I love learning about. Then we'll go into things that I want to do more of, and then we'll get into kind of like my general TBR and watch list and playlist. Okay, the first big subject that I really want to focus on and I really want to learn more about is the romance genre. Obviously read a ton of romance, and I think I always say that like I'm so proud to be a romance reader, but I've never really expounded on what that means. Basically what I mean by that is I'm like so obsessed with the history of romance. Well, okay, obsessed is maybe too big of a word, but I'm extremely interested in the history of romance. I love where romance lies in the reading world and in the reading community. The fact that for the most part it is a genre that really focuses on women and their happiness. Also that the genre is so huge because of women. I love that. Like I love that and I love being a part of that. So the way that I'm planning on learning a bit more about the romance genre is I'm going to listen to a couple of podcasts, some that I've already started listening to that I've been really enjoying, but I want to really dive deep with them. One is the 831 podcast, which I've actually already listened to everything that they've come out with because they just started. So I think they only have like 4 or 5 episodes out, but I am going to listen to every single one that comes out every single week. And I also highly recommend them. It's fantastic. And they're like 30 minutes long. 831 is a romance publisher. Pretty new. I think they've been around for like a year, maybe 2 years. I've mentioned them quite a bit recently because I'm really into them and I think what they're doing is really interesting. And they've started this podcast where they basically talk about kind of what's going on in the romance world, and also they do small author interviews and they give out some romance recommendations. They usually like will focus on a topic. Like recently I did one about romance is set in New York, where they also interviewed Tia Williams. Yeah, I've loved every single episode that I've heard from them. It's been great fun following. And then the second one, which I've listened to less of technically because I think I'm intimidated by their backlog and how long their episodes are. It's a Fated Mates podcast. Also fantastic. Fantastic. They definitely know every single thing about the romance genre, which I'm obsessed with. I wish I had their encyclopedic knowledge about the genre, but I'm trying my best by listening to their podcast. Unfortunately and fortunately, they have a huge backlist. Like, oh my gosh, so many episodes. I don't even know how long they've been making this podcast, but it's years for sure. And each episode is like typically around an hour and a half, if not longer. I'm also open to any podcasts that fit this category and also any others that I mentioned. I'm not a huge podcast person historically, but I'm getting a little bit more into them. And then of course, the books that I want to read to help me get a better understanding of the romance genre are obviously romance books. I don't know, I feel like the best way to learn about romance is to read it. Obviously, there's going to be books on the subject and I'm not going to read those, but I think just reading romance and seeing what people are writing and see what has been written historically is kind of going to be the best way to learn. Obviously, I read a ton of romance, so I'm always reading something with romance in it. But what I have written down is I want to read lots of Lisa Kleypas. Like, I don't think I'll be able to read every single book she's published because there's so many. And I know that there's so many authors that have been writing even longer than her. I know that I love Lisa Kleypas, and I feel like that would be a good place for me personally to start because I already know I like her writing. And I've heard such good things about the books that I haven't read from her. Next, we actually have 2 books that were in my 5-star predictions video. So we have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, of course. I feel like this is a must read if you're a romance reader, and I have not read it yet. And then I have Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt. I talk a bit more about those and why I want to read them in that video, but it only felt right including them here to make sure that I actually do read those 5-star predictions. If I put these books on enough lists, surely I'll pick them up, right? Next, we have a couple of things to watch. I've been a fan of like romance in movies and TV shows for my whole life, honestly. I've always loved romance. One thing that I loved growing up was I loved romance manga, like shoujo manga. One that I read when I was probably 13 years old was the manga Hanakimi, and it has been adapted into so many different dramas, but it was recently adapted into an anime for the first time ever, which is kind of wild considering I'm pretty sure I've seen every single adaptation except this one. So that would be like the Korean one and the Japanese one and maybe the Chinese one too. Maybe? I'm like pretty sure there's a Chinese one. I feel like there's even a Thai one, but I could be making that up. And I've been trying to watch the anime because when I was like, I gotta watch this. Like, this is like my childhood, right? And Crunchyroll has just been so incredibly frustrating. I don't know why they won't let me just pay the money so I can watch this, but I will make it work. I'm gonna do something. If I have to watch it on my computer, I will do that. Wanted to specifically include this because I felt like including a romance story that I loved growing up maybe would kind of give me some of that like childlike excitement for romance again. Not that I do, like, romance excites me obviously, but it's different when you're watching something in like 7th grade and you're obsessed with it, right? Also because I feel like I've been waiting for this adaptation forever. Not that I knew it was happening, but I always wanted it to happen. Another way that I love to consume romance is through K-dramas, of course. And I've decided this summer I want to watch When Life Gives You Tangerines, which I have not read. That is IU and Park Bo-gum. I don't know, it does look really, really good. I've heard it's kind of sad, which I feel like recently I've been like talking about sad media as if I'm like scared to watch it or read it, which is just wrong. I love to cry. Like I love to cry to movies and books and shows. So I don't know why I always talk about sad things like that. But I think this is a good one to watch in the summer because it's set on Jeju. And then finally, the last thing that I want to watch, this is of course contingent if I read the book, but I would love to watch Pride and Prejudice. I was of course thinking of like the, 2005, right? The 2005 adaptation, but I actually don't think I've ever seen the BBC series. So I could maybe watch that too. Really would like to read the book first and then watch it. I think that's, I don't know. I want to do that. I want to see how they compare. Okay, and that's the end of that subject. We're done with romance and the romance genre. That was actually the longest one. So I'm thinking we're going to get through this pretty quickly. The next subject on my summer curriculum, I fear, is also book related. My life kind of revolves around books. I kind of realize I don't have any other hobbies. That is, of course, something maybe we can change with this curriculum. But if I am thinking of things that I love to learn about, they're mostly going to be book related. So the next subject is an author's writing process. My God, I love to hear authors talk about their books and how they got into writing and how they write and all the weird things that they do. I think it's like so fascinating. I've never said this aloud. I have. I've never said this on camera, but I would love to write a book. Yeah, I really would. Even if it's like not any good, even if I don't do anything with it, I think I'm just like so fascinated what writing a book could do for me, like for my inner life and for my creativity. Like, I just think it's so fascinating. I just imagine writing a book as being very introspective, even though I would definitely be writing a romance book, obviously. I find it to be such a crazy process, like personally, like in someone's mind, like how does someone do that? You know what I mean? But even if I had no interest in writing a book, I still think I would love to hear authors talk about this. Whenever I would go to a book convention, my favorite part was always the panels, because I love listening to authors talk about how they write their books. So I think it's only natural that I include this as a subject because I really do love learning about this. I do only have listen and read on here. I don't really have anything to watch. I'm sure I could find like maybe some lectures or something, or watch some interviews, and maybe that's something I'll explore. So under listen, I have one podcast. I have the No Right Way podcast by V.E. Schwab. There's of course hundreds and hundreds of writing podcasts, so I'm not going to limit myself to this one at all. I just thought it'd be interesting to listen to V.E. Schwab because she is an author that I have read from before. We'll definitely explore other podcasts in the writing realm as well. And then I have an audiobook, which is On Writing by Stephen King. This is a book that I've been meaning to read for a very long time. And this is also technically a memoir. Like, it's not specifically a writing book, but I know a lot of it is about the writing craft. So yeah, I just thought, let's go ahead and knock this one out. Then a couple books that I want to read for this. The first one is 1,000 Words by Jamie Attenberg. I'm not sure if I'm saying their name right, but this is a writer's guide to staying creative, focused, and productive all year round. Because I think if I were to try to write a book, I think the hardest part for me would be staying focused and motivated. I am generally not the most focused person. So 1,000 Words is a motivational handbook for writers inspired by her 1,000 Words of Summer project, which I don't know what that is. I'm not gonna lie. Featuring essays from acclaimed authors by Roxane Gay and Lauren Groff, assigned Attenberg's own advice on maintaining a consistent writing practice even when uninspired by focusing on daily word counts and creative rituals. The book offers encouragement and strategies for overcoming creative blocks, emphasizing that activities like walking or visiting museums are part of the writing process, not interruptions. So I think that is a book that I would love to get to this summer. I would need to go purchase it. I do not own this book. I think it's a book that I would like to have physically. So that's going to be step number one in reading. And then another book that I have here, I think can be kind of interchangeable with maybe another writing book. I have Story Genius by Lisa Crone. I put this here because I own the book and I'm like 90% sure that I have the audiobook somewhere, but I'm definitely open to other books as well. Story Genius, I think, has something to do with like the psychological aspects of writing, like for the reader, like how you can write a book to like appeal to the reader's mind or something like that. A writing guide that uses brain science to help authors create compelling novels by focusing on the protagonist's internal struggle, not just the external plot. Okay. And yeah, that's actually all I have for this this subject on my curriculum. But I'm not like limiting myself to this or the other subjects as well. Like, I'm not limiting myself to just what I have written down. If I find something else that I think would fit with the subjects, I will definitely check that out as well. I think that's actually a really nice segue into the next subject, which I technically didn't write down a single thing for. I just know that this is a subject that I would like to get back into. I think I would need to do a lot of research into where specifically and like what specific part of this that I want to get into. So I just didn't write anything down. I was like, this is just something that I know that I want to focus on, and I can be free and open with it. Wherever I fall, that's okay. But that subject is art history. If you haven't heard, I say this every goddamn time I'm on the internet. I have a degree in art history, and I loved studying art history. I really, really, really did. I pretty much loved every single time period and style and pretty much everything that I did in undergrad. I loved, except medieval art. I didn't love medieval art. I took a medieval manuscripts class. Not a fan. Not a fan. I would say that if I did have to identify a couple things that I was particularly interested in, I did a whole paper on Fairfield Porter, who was an artist and art critic in the 50s, kind of around 50s, 60s. I think what I really liked about him is that his stuff looks like a summer in the Hamptons, and his name too. He sounds like he would summer in the Hamptons, but he actually summered in Maine. So maybe I could do something, watch something, read something regarding him. I did look to see if there are any lectures. There's nothing new, I think. I think I've probably already watched everything when I was writing my paper, but I could definitely revisit them. Sorry, my feet are so asleep. Why did I choose to sit on the floor? It's okay. I will persevere. Another thing I was really into was design history, 20th century design, kind of with Art Nouveau all the way up to something more contemporary. I loved learning about the Bauhaus. It was super cool. Oh, I also love Frank Lloyd Wright. He's so cool. And I'm in Chicago. I'm in the perfect city to really have a Frank Lloyd Wright summer. Maybe that is something I can do. Maybe I can have a Frank Lloyd Wright summer because I'm in the perfect place for it. My plan with art history is I'm going to probably focus more on listening to podcasts, maybe watching some lectures on YouTube and stuff. Don't know if I want to pick up an art history book. I feel like they're all very long, and I already have a lot of other books here. Not saying absolutely not, but the art history books that I have behind me, they're a little too textbooky, if that makes sense. I know some people do take these curriculums very seriously, like it's a class. I'm not trying to do that. I'm really not. Okay, and the next two things I think are a little bit more fun. Technically, I have no read, watch, listen under them because they're just two things that I want to learn. I don't really need to do anything other than learn those things. So the first is tarot. I have been into tarot, very casually for a while. I'm not very good. I don't know the cards that well. I recently took a tarot master spreads class, which was so fun. And I do think I did a pretty good job just reading the cards, just analyzing the actual images that are on the card and kind of being able to do a reading from there. But I would really like to know what the actual cards mean, if that makes sense. The person that was hosting the class, they were unreal. He was so good. He said that he had been reading tarot since he was 10 years old, and he's 36 or something now. He had some great advice, which is basically you have to practice every single day. It's like brushing your teeth. You have to do it twice a day. You can't just do it once a week. So I think that's something I really want to do is do 1 to 2 tarot spreads a day, or just do something where I look at the cards and see what I think it means, and then go into the book, see if I'm right, see if I'm wrong. I love tarot. If you're scared of tarot, I know some people are. I like to think of it as kind of helping you make a decision, because the person that's being read for, whether you're reading for yourself or you're reading for someone else, you already know how you want a situation to go. Whether or not you've admitted it to yourself or to your friends or your family or whoever, you know how you want a situation to go. So if you read something, you're how will I like the date that I'm going on today? And if it says, oh no, you're going too fast or this or blah, 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 you'll find a way to make it fit for how you ideally would want that date to go, if that makes any sense. I think it's just really great for kind of weeding out how you really feel about a situation. And then the last thing that I want to learn this summer, not the last, but the last thing I'm putting down here, because, I have to keep my mind open. What if I accidentally learn something else? But the last thing on my list for things I want to learn is to crochet. I wanted to crochet for so long, but I've never really actually sat down to do it. I think the most I've ever done is I've done a single chain or whatever, but I really, really want to learn to crochet. I recently took a sewing class. So much fun. We'll kind of talk about that in a second, but I feel like a changed person now that I know how to sew with a sewing machine. Maybe I'm not the best, but I can do it. I specifically want to crochet a table runner for my coffee table. Who knew I got the worst coffee table known to man, that literally smallest drop of water. It looks so bad. I swear it looks so bad. And we use coasters, but it's not enough. So I want to do a table runner so I can put it over my coffee table so it's not as obvious, because it looks I can't, if I'm ever sitting on the couch facing the books, take a quick glance, and don't look anymore. Take a quick glance at my coffee table and you'll see what I mean. And then don't ever look at it, and definitely don't comment on it. Originally, I was going to crochet after my sewing class ended because I was like, oh, I don't want to pay for another class, but maybe I could just like get a crochet hook, get a ball of yarn, and go from there and see what happens, kind of teach myself. That didn't exactly end up happening, but we will get to that in a second. Now we're going to the second half of my curriculum, which is things I want to do more of. This, like I said, is a little bit more bucket listy, not super bucket listy, but bucket listy. The first thing, and I think probably the most important thing, and probably the theme of this whole curriculum, the theme of my summer and hopefully my life, is to express myself creatively and to form an artistic practice of some kind. Books are a huge thing to me, obviously. You're on my book channel, but books are a huge thing to me. They especially used to be huge. I was reading hundreds of books a year and I was so into it. It was like my main thing. And then all of a sudden I stopped reading as much, but somehow books are still my only hobby. So now I feel like when I ask what my hobbies are, I feel like I don't have any. Were to have more hobbies, I would want them to be artistic. And I am like surrounded by so many people now, like at my job, that have some sort of like artistic outlet. And I think that is like literally the coolest thing anyone can do, is be an artist. And of course, being an artist is like kind of a loose term, right? Like I could be painting, I could be drawing, I could be doing anything. And to me, that is just, I don't know. Like I said, sewing changed my life, guys. Sewing was so much fun. One of the things I think that would be good to add on to this is I want to journal more, specifically more of like a bullet journaling thing, less of like, writing out my feelings and my emotions, which I also want to do that as well. Earlier, I showed my journal with a spread that I created for the summer curriculum. I did that this morning. I had some blank bullet journals that I've had for a while, just, in case inspiration struck, and inspiration did strike this morning. I made a little June title page, which I think is really, really cute. The summer curriculum page, which I also think is cute, even though it's not done yet, so don't look too closely. Did a little summer bucket list. It's also not complete yet. But it's gonna be so cute when it's done. I'm gonna put little stickers on here. Technically, I have like a decent amount of history bullet journaling, but I've never like successfully finished a journal just because that's just me. But also, I think before, when I was younger, when I first started bullet journaling, I was so focused on it being perfect. I've slowly given that up, where now it's like, I can do whatever I want. Like, it's okay that I'm starting a brand new bullet journal on June 16th. That is perfectly fine. Like, who am I going to get in trouble with? The journal gods aren't going to come down and like rip all my pages out because I'm not starting on the first of the month. And like I said, I think it ties back perfectly to expressing myself creatively. I had so much fun drawing with some colored pencils today. The next thing that I really want to make sure to do this summer, or at least try to do, is I want to go to the same workout class every single week. Everyone says that's a great way to make friends. Of course, I guess I would need to find a workout class that I'm like, oh, I want to be friends with these people. I love the idea of meeting some friends that way because I am brand new to a city. And on top of that, I'd be getting some exercise in, which is also fantastic. And I also do love the routine of it as someone that is not super routine based, but if I could get myself into a real routine like that, that would be absolutely fantastic. The next one also has something to do with me being new to Chicago and being in a new city. Is I want to explore a new neighborhood every single week. The neighborhood doesn't have to be new, but I want to like explore something new every single week. For the first couple months we were here, we did really get really comfortable in our neighborhood. But the past couple of weeks, as in me and my fiance, me and Adam, we've gotten really good at getting out of our neighborhood, of going on the train, of being like, oh, we want to go eat. Let's go to a different neighborhood to eat, and then walk around for a couple of hours. When probably maybe like a month ago, we would have been like, oh, let's just go to the same restaurant we've been going to since we moved here. I just know that Chicago has so much to offer, and has so much to offer me, so much to offer Adam. I want to see it all. I really, really do. I feel like I haven't seen even like a tenth of the city. When I mentioned that my plan was to not take another sewing class and to instead just crochet here at home, and how it didn't quite work out. Yeah, I ended up signing up for a quilting class. I had my first day yesterday. I'm very excited. Definitely very, very excited. I kind of took sewing because I wanted to get into quilting. I think quilting is so cool. I want to make someone a quilt. If someone has a baby, I want to give them a quilt so badly. Oh my gosh, it sounds like so much fun to me. Yeah, if you are like thinking about taking an art class in your city, you must do it. Like I think there were so many times when I thought about doing it in Houston and I just didn't. I really regret that now. I mean, I was like a different person in Houston. I feel like I would have been more likely to like skip it or just whatever. Here, I'm like, I have no desire to do that. Like, I'm so into the idea of learning new stuff here, which is, I mean, for me, part of the reason why I wanted to move. I wanted to, be in a new environment and see who I was in that new environment. But yeah, quilting, my quilting class, that's definitely something I'm going to do this summer. And next, this one I just like popped on here, and I don't know, I'm scared at the thought of it. I mentioned I am very interested in writing a book. I put that I want to plot a book this summer. I think just even if I plot it, that would be huge for me, honestly. I've technically already started plotting a book, I'm not gonna lie, but like I started a while ago and then I put it down because I've never felt like ready. And so many people say like you're never going to be ready. You can only like research how to write so much before you just need to like sit down and actually write. So I want to plot a book. I want to have the book plotted by like August, the end of summer. I want to have it plotted. So that's pretty crazy saying out loud for me. Okay, that was the last thing on my things I want to do more of list. Now let's just go over my general TBR watch list and playlist, because I have a couple things that I didn't mention. Some books I want to read, some shows I want to watch, some music I want to listen to. As for like my official summer TBR, all the books that I have said in this video will be included, but a couple other things that I want to read are Hood Feminism. I've been wanting to read this book for so long. It's also, I feel like, going back to the origin of a personal curriculum where you're learning stuff. So it only makes sense to put a nonfiction book on this list. And this is definitely my nonfiction book of choice. Next, I have Happy Hour by Marla Granados. This is a book that I mentioned in my 5-star predictions video. I mentioned that I heard it compared to a hot, sticky New York summer. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the feeling, because obviously I'm not in New York, but I'm looking for that feeling of a hot, sticky New York summer. So I want to read this book. Similarly, I also want to read Big Swiss, because I've heard this book kind of compared to a hot, sticky New York summer as well. And then finally, Summerween is coming up. Summerween, I believe it starts July 3rd, and then it's like a week long. Summerween, if you don't know what it is, it's hosted by Gabby Reads here on YouTube, and it is a week dedicated to reading spooky books, reading thrillers and horrors. I did it last year, had so much fun. I vlogged it. You're welcome to check it out. Unfortunately, like right after that, I did like abandon YouTube for a bit, but whatever. Loved vlogging Summerween. I'm hoping to do it again. I don't have my specific Summerween TBR laid out yet, so you'll have to wait till that video happens. But basically, you can almost guarantee that I will be reading some horror and thriller books in July. Next, for my watch list, I just have a couple things that I want to add to our current list of things that I want to watch. One is I really want to watch Girls. I saw like a decent amount of Girls as it was airing, but I never watched the whole thing. But ever since Fame Sick came out, I feel like Girls is having a bit of a renaissance, and I would like to partake in this renaissance. The next series that I have is Fleabag. Adam and I did recently start watching this, and I'm enjoying it so far. Next, I actually didn't write this down, but I just thought of it, is I really want to watch Love Island this season. It's already started, and if I want to do that, I need to start like now to catch up. But I'm like tired of like not knowing what's going on in Love Island. I love the community aspect of Love Island. I think it's so fun. So I would love to watch Love Island. Additionally, another dating shows coming out. One that I watched last year, it's a Korean dating show called Better Late Than Single, which basically the premise is like everyone that's on the dating show has like never dated someone before and has like zero experience. I really liked it last time. I like cried at one point. I was so into it. I think that comes out in July, so I'll be watching that, that's for sure. And then as for a playlist, so some things that I want to listen to this summer, we have those podcasts that I mentioned. Then I have some artists and some albums that I want to listen to. So in terms of albums, I want to listen to Olivia Rodrigo's new album, obviously. I've already like listened to the whole thing, but I will probably continue to listen to it. I'm such an album listener. I need to like listen to an album over and over and over again. I'm not a playlist person, I'm an album person. Another album, which very different tone, is Carrie and Lowell by Sufjan Stevens. This is like about his mom dying, and I've been listening to it like on and off for a month or two, and I really like it, but I want to really dive deep. And then I wasn't sure what else to include because I'm not actually like technically the biggest music person. Because I'm an album listener, it takes me a while to listen to music because I feel like basically what I do is I start with like the first song or the song that I know the most. I listen to that over and over again, and then like I slowly make my way through the albums. So it takes me a long time to listen to new music, unfortunately. But I remember there's an artist that I really liked named Carol Aids. I believe their song was in Off Campus recently, I think. I heard their song recently on TV. I listened to a couple songs by them, maybe about a year ago. And I really liked it, and I would like to listen to more from them. Okay, and that is the end of my summer curriculum. Was that fun? Historically, I hate summer because I grew up in Houston, Texas, but I've now moved to Chicago, and their summers are kind of legendary. So I'm interested to see how my relationship with summer changes living here now, and also if I'm going to have a great time this summer, which I'm thinking I will. If anything, I hope that this curriculum kind of just expands my inner world a little bit, because that sounds fantastic. And also, I'm so sorry the lighting just keeps changing. Apparently I chose the worst time to film. I hope you guys had fun watching this. If you like this, maybe I would do a little follow-up at the end of the summer to see how this went. Not only if you guys like it, but also like if I can even do it. That's how we know if there will be follow-ups or not. If you don't see a follow-up, that means it didn't go so well. But I'm going to go ahead and sign off right here. Please tell me if you guys are doing something like this, like a little summer curriculum, or just some things you guys want to get into, some things you guys want to learn about, or just, yeah, like list what you guys want to learn about and things that you want to do more of, whether it's like this year, this week, this month, whatever. If you'd like to follow along and see how I end up doing with this, you're more than welcome to subscribe, of course. But I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Bye.